So Black Panther declares war on drugs, and Alicia decides to follow in Daddy's footsteps. Find out more here on Nephilim Entertainment. Hey, welcome back to Nephilim Entertainment. I'm your host, Natron. Thank you for tuning in, and this is my coverage of Black Lightning, and this happens to be to talk about episode 5. And then the devil brought the plague, the book of Green Light. It's a long title. Alright, so first thing right out the gate is we're starting to see a lot of police brutality. Apparently they are not knowing how to handle the Green Light epidemic. Black Lightning's got the cure. Shock them. Just tase them. Apparently it's also speaking out towards the whole idea of police brutality, shoot first and ask questions later. Much of a hot topic, especially nowadays when it's such a heated discussion about police handling situations. But we also learned something interesting about Gambini. Apparently he's got ties to Tobias, of all things. And it's not just deleting his photos from Jefferson Pierce, but it also has to do with the fact of the past. Apparently it has something to do with his serum, and back when Gambini apparently worked for the ASA. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see how their story turns out, especially if Gambini's connection to Tobias influences his connection with Pierce anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see how those turn out. And Anissa apparently is doing research to find out about the whole superhuman, metahuman kind of thing. She's trying to figure out where it's come from, what's going on, how did she get her powers. And apparently it's got some ties to her grandfather, who apparently was doing research of his own back in the day. So she starts exploring that. And then we got Jen, who's basically kicking ass at a roller ring. And she takes on 2 girls at once. I see where someone got the family fighting genes. Yeah, Jen totally kicks ass in this whole scene. I mean, she takes on both girls and even mockingly holds one girl down by just her wrist. Really epic fight scene. Be interesting to see if she had superpowers too. But yeah, Jefferson, he's apparently having some kind of adverse effect. Apparently he is in pain, and we're not entirely sure why. We don't know if it's Black Lightning related, or if it could be something more, or something that Black Lightning powers are preventing from happening. Who knows? But with all this going on, we find out a little bit of a backstory about Tobias and his sister. Apparently they were raised by an abusive father. So Eldridge apparently mistreated his kids and beat on his kids. So it's interesting to see if Tobias handles this in any kind of particular way, and how much this is going to influence his character development. Then Tobias, least of our worries right now, because now apparently Anissa is starting to go on a little bit of an expedition trying to figure out what her grandpa's notes are, and she actually talks to the former editor that was one of his inside sources at one point. Yeah, she doesn't exactly get a warm welcome, but we're finding out that apparently it's got some ties to Tobias, so she decides that she is actually going to don on a superhero outfit, of all things. I really like her character and how she just started diving into the whole hero thing. There isn't much reluctance towards it. I mean, it's almost like something that she's always wanted. So it's going to be interesting to see if we find out that she actually idolized Black Lightning, aka her daddy. But Tobias, or not Tobias, but Henderson and Black Lightning, apparently their relationship in the past wasn't the whole fox and hound kind of relationship. Apparently, he was sort of his inside connection to the police force, finding that out. And he gives our man Henderson a phone, and of all things, he calls it the black signal. I know it's cheesy, I know, but it's so funny simply because it's just a play on things, and even he's taking it quite humorous, and Henderson, of course, is giving that sourpuss kind of demeanor about it. So, hey, Pierce, bravo, I applaud your creativity, man. That is funny as hell. So, we find out that apparently these girls are gonna go. That Jen ended up kicking her ass. Went to the parents. Parents not having too much of a keen idea on it, so they go to Laura and Jefferson to try to see legal action, and apparently the whole fight was not known to them, and she ends up getting grounded for it. But she claims it was all defense, and she was right, it was. Two girls did jump her, but it's kind of interesting how the parents take different sides. Mama, of course, is very disappointed. Daddy's actually proud of her taking on two different people at once. I'm sensing the crime-fighting dad is proud that his little baby girl was actually able to take on two bad people at once. So, bravo, bravo, daddy, bravo for raising a little kick-ass girl. But Anissa's investigation has turned up a lot of interesting stuff. So we're starting to see more and more ties to Tobias, and Tobias, of course, he handles the whole situation with his dad quite angrily. He actually breaks his daddy's spine to teach him a lesson and leaves him to die. I'm really curious to see how his character is going to develop now, because apparently he got rid of one of his worst enemies, someone he feared growing up, and now, sky's the limit, I guess. But it all nicely ends up with Jefferson learning about Tobias and Tobias still being alive, and apparently he's learned that he's going to have to go after Tobias now. So, hey, already a superhero fight and a superhero beatdown. Should be interesting. Alright, up next for Black Lightning, Jefferson versus Tobias. What else can I say? I mean, we're going to find out if these two are going to go head to head in the next episode or if we're going to be teased with it all season. I'm hoping for a kind of a skirmish, just a rough and tussle kind of thing, nothing too extreme. Maybe the rolling up of sleeves, a few blasts here and there, something enough to damage an office, maybe make Tobias have to redecorate, but honestly don't want to see too much of a tussle just yet. I mean, if it leads to there being more of a bigger boss, like I'm sensing, because it sounds like to me that Tobias answers to somebody. So it'd be interesting if they do have this big knockout dragout, if it actually leads to someone worse than Tobias. Which in the comics he was kind of a big deal, so I don't really see them doing anything more than dragging this out. He seems like he's probably going to be the primary villain for season 1, with a couple other villains maybe popping in and out, but nothing too extreme. But that's my take on it. What's your take on it? Let me know up here if you think Tobias is the final boss or if there's somebody worse than him out there. Let me know up here in this poll. But that's going to be a wrap for me. Make sure to drop a like at this video and subscribe to my page and stay tuned to the end of the video for more content. But that is a wrap. My name is Megatron. Thank you for watching Nephilim Entertainment. To all you daydreamers and creators out there, keep your heads in the clouds. Peace.